Hello and welcome back to the show. This is Dance Colleges and Careers. I'm your host, Brittany Noltemeyer, and we talk about competitive dance, college for dancers, and the careers you can get as a dancer. So today we are actually going to be talking about rehearsal etiquette when you're in a workshop or guest teacher setting. So I think we all get really comfortable in our home studios, right? We learn choreography from the same teachers, we take class the same way, and we get into these habits where, whether they're good habits or bad habits, but we get to know the teacher, we understand their style. When they do a step, maybe you can already kind of expect what they're going to do after it because that's who we're comfortable with. We are starting to learn the ins and outs of their brain. So then when we are put in a situation where we take class from a different teacher or we learn a choreography in master classes or at a nationals event, maybe we freak out a little bit or we can't pick up the choreography as fast. Or maybe you are in the back when you're used to being in the front and you're like, hey, what the heck is going on here? And you don't have a clue why. So I think it's really important to talk about this because unless you're a dance studio owner kid or one of your siblings is a dance teacher or a professional in the performing arts, there are some unspoken rules that you might be missing out on. And it might almost seem rude to the guest teacher when at home it's regular or just what everybody does. So that's what we're going to talk about today is how to again, get ahead of that curve, how to be on your A game and how to show up and present yourself and represent your studio as best you can in a guest teacher or in a workshop setting. I thought this was super appropriate for right now because it is the summertime. We're about to get our summer workshop rolling, which is our theatrical workshop for theater students and dancers to improve that storytelling and acting abilities. And the summer is just a really good time to maybe get involved with nationals and getting workshop classes from teachers who you don't always see because you aren't in regular session, or even at your own studio. Maybe you'll have a substitute more here or there, and just the monotony of our regular day gets broken up quite a bit and you have different opportunities. One thing I really try to encourage my students is to get education in more than one place. I think something really sad about this is a lot of times studios kind of grab onto their children and they're so afraid that they're going to leave their studio that they put on really strict rules about where they're allowed to train. But that's really doing a disservice. If you look at all the studio owner kids, which I'm one of them, right? Studio owner kids. Do they only take class from their parent? Do they only take class? Do you only take class from your mom? No, you don't. And that's why you'll often see really strong talent coming out of studio owner kids. I mean, I hate to say that, but you know it's true. Not saying they're the only ones with talent. Of course not. But when you have a studio owner who is encouraging their child to get education elsewhere, then you know you're in the right place because their studio is important. You need to take classes from them. You need to be in the studio, but that's not the only place. You need to also get diversified training. You need to learn outside of your studio, or else you are going to get into this habit of just what we do every single day and we get comfortable. Yeah, we absolutely get comfortable. So while there is great training in that and the consistency, that's important. But in order for you to grow and get challenged as an artist, to take it to that next level, you have to diversify your training. You have to put your trust into others and know that there's not only one right answer in the world. There's not only one way to dance. There's not only one way to explain a certain step. I mean, just think about it. You hear the same critiques all the time from your teacher at home, and then you go to competition. The judge's critique says, point your toes. And then finally in your head, you're like, oh yes, I should be pointing my toes. It's like I've never heard this before. I mean, obviously you've heard that before. It's like we hear it every single day. And I think that we hear it in the same tone. We hear the same feedback, the same corrections, that we almost start ignoring it, not on purpose, but it's just, you keep hearing the same thing over and over again. You're like, yeah, I know. I'm working on it. I'm trying. But that's why if you hear it in a different tone, with a different analogy, from a different voice, sometimes that's when it clicks in your body. And that's why it's important to learn from others, trust others, and like I said, diversify that training. So that's why we're talking about etiquette in your workshop or choreography setting. And it's not only etiquette. Yeah, sure. There's like rules and, hey, this is what you should be doing. But it's also like, this is what you could be doing in order to get that front row spot, in order to become the soloist. Because when you have a guest teacher, they don't know you. Even if they know you a little bit, they don't really know how you're going to perform. What you need to do when a guest comes in is you have to build trust. You have to put yourself in the stage scenario. You have to show the guest teacher, hey, this is what I'm going to do on stage. Then the teacher can automatically say, hey, this person is already doing it in rehearsal. I know they're going to give us that personality or nail that aerial every time or have that amazing leg because I have seen them do it a million times in rehearsal. So I know that they will do it on stage. A great example here is personality. You have to show personality even when you're learning. I know a lot of times we'll be like, yeah, but this is my focusing face. Okay, well, you have to find a new focusing face. Well, at least, I would say always, but at least in this guest scenario, because you cannot be the leading person, the front center person, if you do not have personality. That person is charging down center stage and needs to lead the group and carry the group strongly and with positivity. So if you have amazing technique and talent, great. They know they can trust you to be on your leg, to hit the technical moves, but they don't know that you're going to be the leader of the group. They don't know that you're going to get the audience up and rally. And that's not everybody's strength. So I'm not saying that needs to be what you're going out for. But if that's what you're aiming for, if you're aiming to be in the front row, if you're aiming to get the lead, you have to bring your personality to the rehearsal, even when you're just starting to learn the steps. They need to see that you can feel the style, you can feel the music, and you're going to do more than just the steps, because just the steps is progressions across the floor. But even that can be more. That can be dancing, yeah. But if you're only giving the steps when you're learning choreography, that's not enough. That is not enough. Now, you could be like, yeah, but I'll smile on stage. I'll do it when I'm on stage. I'll bring it when I'm on stage. Okay, sure. But that is not enough to become the lead, to get that front row spot, to become the soloist when you have a guest choreographer. The other thing it can do is if the room is not bringing that energy, bringing that top-notch personality or technique. Technique is pretty easy to spot, like right on. Either you have it or you don't, and teachers know that. But it's the hidden stuff that you say, oh, I'll do that when I get to the stage, that we do not believe you. If you're not doing it in the room, why would I believe that you're going to do it on stage? When we go to the stage, we have more stress. We are more likely to make a mistake because of the high nerves. So why are you all of a sudden going to be better than how you've been practicing? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if you want to get to that next level. If you want to be that front running person, you have to practice that in the studio. And it's full out. It's full out. It's full out every time, especially in a shorter rehearsal setting. Even if others around you are marking, you shouldn't be. If you want to be the leader in the room, if you want to be number one, then you're not marking. So I've been in a lot of different rehearsals, learning shows, and many where it's fun. Most of the people mark often and you're having a good time. We work hard for a little bit. When the director says, okay, full out, then everybody goes full out. And then in other times they don't. And then I've been in more elite jobs where the director doesn't say, do it full out. The entire room is full out every time in 9-hour rehearsals. And that elite room, that was a show to be proud of. That was a job that people strive for. That is where I felt self-worth, where I wanted to get on stage and make them proud and do it without a single mistake because that's what they expected of me. In the other rehearsals when they're like, oh, yeah, it's fun. That's not enough. That is not enough because what we do is important. And you have to believe that what you do is important or else you're just going to go out there, be a sloppy mess, end up injuring yourself and get burnt out because you get over it. When you're in a room surrounded by people who encourage you to be better, not just like every day. Yeah, sure, be better every day. But no, every hour in this rehearsal, every time you run the piece, then your life is going to have more joy, more fulfillment, and you're going to be a stronger person because of it. You'll be able to take on anything because that's something worthwhile. That is something to be proud of. And that is, it's really amazing when you can be a performer in a setting like that. All right. So I went off on a tangent because I just was getting pretty passionate about that. But I hope that you can, if you're not already surrounded by people who care like that you can be the person to bring up others. Because it's hard to be that person. It's really hard to look around the room, maybe feel eyes on you or of judgment or like, oh, well, they're just not working as hard, or maybe like, oh, they're working too hard. But it's a lot of work to kind of push all those fluffy thoughts aside and just say, I'm going to be the leader in this room. I'm going to step up. Doesn't mean you have to be the best in the room, but you're going to push yourself to be a leader, to be full out. And that's how you kind of have this transition period where at first people probably make fun of you. People maybe think like, oh, she's working too hard. What is she trying to get from this? Oh, she's a teacher's pet. But then they start to look up to you. I've been there many times in my life. I've been there and it's hard. I promise it's a hard transition. Or even when you start to make facial expressions in class, if your class isn't already doing that, that's a hard transition too. It is. But what you get out of it is so worth it. Okay, so let's talk about some simple etiquette for when our guest teachers come or when you go and participate in that opening number or workshop classes. Number 1. Keep the questions to a minimum. Keep the questions to a minimum, okay? In fact, you probably shouldn't have any questions for a while in the beginning. I bet that contradicts what a lot of people say because I know we usually hear like, they always say, anybody have any questions? And we think that we're supposed to have a question or we're told to go in to get noticed. And so we raise our hand and ask stupid questions because we want to get noticed. But you know what? That's not the best way to get noticed. It's not. If we're only asking a question to get noticed, then it's probably a stupid question, right? We're probably fishing for a question. And then when the teacher hears it, if it was something like, where are the arms on this step? The teacher's probably thinking, I did the arms. If you were watching me, you would know what they are. Or I haven't taught them yet. And if you would wait, I will give that instruction. Okay, if it's been going on for a long time later and you're getting different stuff and you still really don't know, then it's important to ask. But if the teacher didn't specify, there's probably a reason why they have not specified yet. And it's best just to be patient. The other reason why we don't want to ask stupid questions is your teacher has a thought process going on. okay? And they have a plan, and they've structured out in their brain how they're going to teach this phrase. They also have to be counting and listening to the music. So when they're in the middle of this thought process and you raise your hand when they're in the middle of it, it's like interrupting someone. And they don't want to be rude and not answer your question. So then they either say no questions right now and then have to be a little bit rude, or they answer your question and then internally they're losing where they were at creatively, and now they might make a mistake, or they could explain it not as well as they would have to begin with because, like I said, you interrupted them. All right, so this is just why not to ask stupid questions. And then another reason why we don't want to ask stupid questions is because it wastes time. Now, I know we've been in some of those classes where, not even dance classes, but like think in school when you are like, oh, we know that we can get our teacher on a tangent if we ask a question about this, or if we ask, maybe somebody really likes to talk about their dog. If we ask about their dog, maybe we can get them on a tangent for 10 minutes and we can waste a lot of time in this class, and maybe we won't get to that quiz, or we won't get to what the teacher said. Hey, I get it. We've all been there. But that's really not what we're doing if we're in a workshop or a guest teacher setting. So I think you get the point. It's just asking stupid questions. I wouldn't say this is a rule, but if you have a question before the teacher has taught 4 counts of 8, I would maybe think about putting your hand down and looking at what the teacher is physically doing. Sometimes I know teachers maybe can't go as full out as you because you're the student, but still, if you have a question before 4 counts of 8, I would wait. I think that's a pretty solid, easy rule to follow. And you probably won't have a question much if you keep going more than that either. Just for this podcast and for a rule for you to walk away with, I would say try not to ask any questions while learning 4 counts of 8. Just watch, listen, and then keep observing. And if you aren't getting the right answer from your teacher, look around at the rest of the class. What does it look like the rest of the class is doing? Or who's someone you look up to in the class who's probably doing it right? Right? Who knows? Maybe we're all kind of struggling and learning together, and that's fine. But if the teacher's not answering it, you can look around at the other classmates, and then as a third option, then ask your question. So that's questions and why it's not the best to ask so many questions or even interrupt the teacher with questions. But of course, there's always smart questions. I don't want to discourage you from asking any question ever. Like when there's an emergency. That's ridiculous, okay? Don't listen to this and get crazy on me. I'm talking about those silly questions that we ask just to get noticed. Not like I'm having an emergency or I have to go to the bathroom. Like a real emergency. That's different. Don't think I'm talking crazy here. I'm just trying to help with those silly regular class questions. Okay, so let's move on from questions. The next thing that's really important to think about, and while I'm talking about guest rehearsals and workshop classes, this is also important in your home studio, and you need to start applying it there because it's our habits. So this point is about our body language. Yes, body language, like what Ursula says in The Little Mermaid, okay? How she doesn't need to use her voice, but her body language is what she can use to, complete that story there of The Little Mermaid. But anyways, your body language. You might already know some of this, but if you don't already, I hope this helps. Number 1, don't lean on the walls. And some people will say, you got time to lean, you got time to clean. That's more in work. But don't lean on the walls. If you're strong enough to be in a dance class, you're strong enough to stand on your own 2 feet. Also, it just makes you look lazy. And you know what? Sometimes if that's going to include the mirrors. Okay, so don't lean on the mirrors. Don't touch the mirrors. As a studio owner kid, who do you think was the person cleaning the mirrors? Yeah, it was me. So somebody has to clean those mirrors. So when I see people leaning on mirrors, I know that somebody is going to have to clean off your your grubby fingerprints or your sweaty back marks. So don't lean on the mirrors. Don't lean on the walls. Another one, crossing our arms. I mean, no, we don't want to cross our arms. It's extremely off-putting. Just stand right now with your arms crossed and see look in the mirror. What do you think the other person is perceiving, how you're feeling or thinking about them? Like, if you're crossing your arms and I'm standing directly in front of you, it's probably closing off your body, and it makes me think that you're mad, you're bored, you are not liking what you're doing, and it's just kind of rude. So if I'm looking at you and I'm looking at the student next to you with a nice, jolly smile on their face, willing to learn, who do you think I'm going to give the next solo to? I'm going to give it to Smiley Jane. Smiley Jane. Let's call her Smiley Jane rather than the grouch with the crossed arms. Another body language to think about, but it's not as serious, is putting those hands on the hips. It's not as closed off as crossing the arms, but it still can be seen as a sassy personality, right? And if I'm the choreographer and I'm picking between hands on the hips or Smiley Jane's got the part again. Here's another tip. Clothing when you're in rehearsal with guest choreographers. Ditch the baggy clothing. I know we love it, especially as dancers. We love it, right? We love to feel cozy in our sweats. Maybe it's our studio big sweatshirt we're allowed to wear in regular class. But you know what? And it's like the sleeves are covering your hands completely, and it makes you look like a slob. Yeah, I would ditch the slob look. It drives me insane when I'm teaching and people are messing with their big baggy sweatshirts. I can't see the body. I can't see what the shapes they are making because it's just sloppy, okay? And when I only have 4 hours to set a piece or just like a really short amount of time, I need to be able to see the pictures. I need to know that you know what it is. And you know what? You dance differently when you're wearing your sloppy clothes. I see a lot more marking through the arms, a lot more floppiness, and it's just not going to work in your favor. With that in mind, if you are an assistant or a teacher, take off the sloppy clothes. Yeah, do not. If the students are wearing form-fitted clothing, leotard and tights, or just leggings and a top, you shouldn't be in there with your sweatshirt and sweatpants. If you're the teacher, you do you. But if you're an assistant if you're an assistant, you need to dress the part and you need to look more professional than the students. You don't need to dress like the teacher. You need to dress like the leader in the room that the students can follow. Let's end with one final point. When the teacher asks if you can do something, and you really can do it, raise your hand high. Okay? I know that we're like, I don't want to seem like I'm cocky and I can do all this stuff. Here's the thing. That teacher doesn't know you. And they are looking for, let's say I'm looking for great batmas. Okay, you know, right now if I'm talking to you, you know if you're a leaper, a turner, if you have leg extension, if you have a bendy back. We all have our strengths. If you have the personality, and if you don't know your strengths, then we have to start fine-tuning that and discover our strengths. But if the teacher says who can do a round off back tuck, if you can confidently do that every single time, you shoot your hand up in the air. If you can't, then just leave your hand down. Don't even be like, oh, well, I can maybe do a back roll. No, that's just annoying. Again, you're wasting my time. Okay? The teacher, the choreographer is looking for these cool moves or this cool personality or whatever they are asking for. And they need you to confidently step up and say you can do it. That just comes back to what we started with in the beginning, because then they trust that you can do it. And then you have to prove you can do it, right? Don't say you can do something if you can't. That's just how you're going to get injured. That's silly. It's not a moment to try to start to prove yourself. No, these are skills you already have, that you already have in your routines. So that's not a time to be shy. Just be honest about it. And then when they say, can I see what it is? Great. Make sure you have that in your mind of what your top skills are, or even what you would want to do. Do you want to do that front aerial or high battement, chaîné jeté, or jazz walk forward with really great personality? I mean, there is a need for all of these things, or the hip hop dancer, the tap dancer. So take that moment and just raise your hand as high as it can go, politely, not like a snot. Raise your hand like a normal human being, but not like a meek, shy mouse, because there's nothing weirder than a really meek person being like, I can do a back tuck. And you're like, are you sure? Because you don't even look like you can confidently go stand in your place. And then they whip out some amazing gymnastics. It just doesn't really make sense. I mean, it makes sense, but it's like, whoa, you really surprised me. And that's not really the moment when you want someone to be surprised. You don't want them to go, wow, I wasn't expecting you to be good, right? Nobody wants that. You want to, let's just end it there. Because, you want to say, hey, I got this. I'll show you now. Let's do this thing. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you learned a little something. Please share with me in our community. You can find that in the show notes, how to get a hold of me, and share what you learned, or if you have any other questions, because I love talking to you about these things, but I want to know what you're struggling with so I can answer your questions and cater these episodes to what you guys need. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Again, my name's Brittany, and I will catch you in the next episode. Until then, keep on dancing.